what we discovered is that there are multiple other codes and conditions related to doing business with San Francisco. This is only a partial list of what is required, and we only printed 25 pages of a very long document.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America, welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. Growing up, I'm sure that some of you, probably most of you, heard the expression that you shouldn't cut your nose off to spite your face. From a parent, from a teacher, from a grandparent, basically some adult trying to tell you that irrational, self-destructive overreactions will bite you in the butt in the long term. The city of San Francisco never got that memo. You want to see what I mean? Take a look at the map on the screen right now. All those states in red, those are all the states where city employees from San Francisco cannot travel to and cannot conduct business with. It's over half the country, and it's all in the name of some social justice concept. And 7-8 years later, it is biting them in the butt, and it's been all needless. It's caused the destruction, the decay of San Francisco. San Francisco is waking up to a very harsh reality, and that is its government is overregulated, overburdened people, and there's really no end in sight right now other than to deregulate, which these progressives have been very reticent to do, but are just now waking up to that reality. We're going to talk about this, but before we do, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you see and hear in this or any other video on the channel, I want you to smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff, because all that feeds the YouTube algorithm.
It just needs to be fed.
So feed it.
Thank you guys so much for all that you've been doing in getting the word out about the show. It's been really helpful, and for all you newbies out there who may be seeing the channel for the first time, I hope that this video earns your subscription as we talk about San Francisco waking up to the wokeness that they've created and how they've been living the phrase, get woke, go broke.
Since 2016, San Francisco has banned city employees from working with or in 30 states that defy the values of the city.
But the ban ended up hurting San Francisco more than the other way around, and last year, that ban ended.
ABC 7 News reporter Leanne Melendez is here with a look at how it cost San Francisco dearly. Leanne?
Before we get to Leanne, let's discuss this idea of the values of San Francisco. Back in 2016, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors enacted Chapter 12X of the Administrative Code, which prohibited city-funded travel and city contracts involving states with certain anti-LGBT laws. Gay marriage, gay adoption, things like that. It was later expanded in 2019 when the Board of Supervisors added to Chapter 12X, prohibiting city-funded travel and city contracts to states with laws that prohibit abortion prior to the viability of the fetus. The city then expanded that yet again in 2021 when the Board of Supervisors enacted an ordinance amending the same chapter to prohibit city-funded travel and city contracts involving states with voter suppression laws. You saw how this sort of mushroomed out. Social justice on top of social justice on top of woke social justice. And what a shock that all of this banning of these states with these different laws that don't reflect the values of San Francisco turned out to be a really bad thing for San Francisco.
I'm shocked. This is shocking news.
Well, while that ban was finally lifted, what we discovered is that there are multiple other codes and conditions related to doing business with San Francisco.
So in addition to all these self-imposed prohibitions and basically hamstringing their procurement of what they need because a state may disagree with them on a social justice issue, San Francisco also imposed additional conditions that contractors and vendors had to meet in order to do business. So you have hurdle upon a hurdle. If you weren't a prohibitive state, if you were one of those states in the minority, if you were a business in one of those states in the minority, you still had more hurdles to overcome in order to procure business with San Francisco. It's completely nuts.
This is only a partial list of what is required, and we only printed 25 pages of a very, very long document.
I'm literally drowning in paperwork.
One supervisor told us this is why it takes so long to get anything done in the city.
Shocked. We're all shocked.
I know, I'm shocked too, right? Did you see the size of that list? And that's just a portion of it? It's completely maddening. How does anything get done in San Francisco? Oh, wait a minute. Nothing does get done because, as we've seen, the city's been decaying. There's homeless encampments on the street. It's dirty. It's disgusting. It's completely nuts. Let's get into one of the most well-known examples of this boondoggle that San Francisco has created for themselves.
By now, you've probably heard of the infamous Noe Valley public toilet and how San Francisco was ready to dish out $1.7 million for its construction, rather than pay for a much cheaper modular model from a company in Nevada.
Why don't I just flush my money down the toilet?
$1.7 million, one toilet. That toilet better be made of solid freaking gold, man. Could you imagine? I mean, home improvement people out there, could you imagine spending just on building a toilet that amount of money? This happened because of the shrinking of the market, the self-imposed shrinking of the market to only a handful of states, and then all the self-imposed conditions that San Francisco demands of their vendors in order to do that. It jacked up the prices like crazy.
Here's why San Francisco would not do business with any entity in that state. San Francisco had a ban on doing business with 30 states that had laws that undermined LGBTQ and voting rights, as well as blocking abortion access. It was those states against San Francisco, and that eventually became too costly for city government.
In other words, San Francisco, in all its woke glory, is tapping out. That means we won, y'all. All those states out there that were anti-San Francisco, defying their values, it looks like San Francisco wasn't enough to change the world in those states to make them all come around to their line of thinking.
The Noe Valley bathroom is not a one-off case. That's a problem that is replicated throughout our city government.
Or we couldn't buy toilet paper from where we historically bought toilet paper. These market players are smart enough to know that they had a captive audience and they could raise their prices.
You did it to yourself.
Economics 101. Competition results in lower prices. Also, because of the ban, public employees were not allowed to travel to one of those 30 states to potentially lure companies to bring business back to San Francisco. The city tried to get around it by granting waivers, and between July 2021 and 2022, 35 city departments approved a total of 538 waivers.
Why even have the self-imposed prohibitions then, right? If you're just going to waive it all the time, why have them at all? Look, I can understand people want to change the world in their own way, but this was clearly not the way to do it. You were only, let's say it again, cutting your nose off to spite your face. Now, remember, this happened, at least started in 2016. I wonder what they were overreacting to in 2016. I don't know.
The problem there, even the process of granting waivers was costing the city more money in added staff and paperwork. In one case, the Recreation and Parks Department had to get a waiver to do business with a local LGBTQ vendor who had recently been acquired, you guessed it, by another company in one of those 30 banned states.
Because of that, we couldn't use her services until we got a special dispensation, which took a really long time and was frustrating for us and for her.
Now just imagine that. You have to get a waiver and it takes longer because you have bureaucracy blocking you from getting that waiver. Meanwhile, that vendor is probably doing business with other places where it's easier to do business, more cost effective for them, and San Francisco is left holding the bag and they still have the needs of their people yet unfulfilled. All because of this, as you see on the screen, Chapter 12X of their administrative code.
Time is money, and a report by the budget and legislative analysts found that while it is difficult to measure how the city's contracting costs have been affected by the legislation, researchers have found that full and open competition for contracts can result in savings up to 20%.
Doesn't it sound like San Francisco is reinventing economics here? We've all known about this for centuries, but they tried to do things a different way, and they're now rediscovering that the best way to do things is open market competition. I know Adam Smith is like, hello, McFly, guys, we've been saying this for centuries. It's unbelievable, right? All in the name of social justice.
After that report, San Francisco finally cried uncle. And last April, the Board of Supervisors voted to get rid of the ban. Instead, San Francisco government now allowed itself to do business with any individual company that aligns with its values.
Then we'll do business with that company regardless of where it's located. And so we had to adjust the law because San Francisco was getting hurt at some point.
Well, look who just caught up.
So the state ban is gone, but you still have to find companies that align with the values of San Francisco. That's only one condition of many, as you saw on those 25 pages, that continues now to prevent San Francisco from acting efficiently in addressing public concerns. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. So yeah, the ban on states, that's gone and going away, right? But there's still that laundry list of things that a vendor has to meet in order to conduct business with San Francisco, which has to do with, again, their social justice values. That's causing business to really stymie and stagnate in the city, and it's resulting in what you've been seeing on the streets of San Francisco, the decay, the homeless, the people defecating in the streets, and all of the negativity that you've been seeing coming out of there for years. Let's continue on.
Though the city lifted some of the restrictions on who they do business with, it still has a long list of conditions and requirements that companies, industries, states, and even countries must follow in order to do business with San Francisco.
Think of the audacity of that, the imposition of these conditions on people who want to do business and just transact with San Francisco. And you would think that San Francisco would be a little more desperate to get these services in as quickly as possible because of the aforementioned decay and problems that we've been seeing for years out of there. But no, they still have this hubris. They are still cutting their nose off to spite their face.
Up to now, only one city department has been given a reprieve to operate outside of some of those rules. The Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing. That's how they've been allowed to expedite the construction of shelters and housing.
It saves us at least 3 months on every project that we open and has allowed us to be nimble and take advantage of opportunities to open new projects and spend the resources that the public has entrusted us with.
That department is...
Well, what do you know? San Francisco has also rediscovered efficiency.
Oh, wow, what a concept.
So they discovered competition, and at least one department is lauding that deregulation leads to more efficient government. Who would have freaking thunk it, right? Again, everyone
is asking for a 5-year extension of its streamlining process to circumvent the still lengthy list of off-limit places and vendors, except that it's getting some pushback from a few in city government.
That's unreal. There are still people in government who want to hold on to these prohibitions and this social justice stance. And again, they're doing it to the detriment of San Francisco. That segment about the homeless department handling things more efficiently, 3 months off the process, that's important to people who are on the streets. Those extra 3 months are saved. You're doing a service for those people, but still you're holding on to these values that are hurting your city. That's buffoonish government in action, folks. That is bureaucracy in action. That is inefficiency in action. That's wokeism in action, really. It's holding on to values despite not living by your values. Because if you were living by your values and want to help everybody, you would do what you can in order to do that. That's living your values, isn't it?
If the extension is not granted, projects like the proposed 60 tiny home cabins on Gerald Avenue and a youth supportive housing building at 42 Otis will be delayed.
I am comfortable with the legislation as they...
Supervisor Raphael Mandelman calls it the molasses of city government.
Welcome to real life.
And I don't think we're actually advancing our social policy goals one bit. And in fact, we're holding them back to the extent that we make San Francisco, this great blue progressive city, look like a basket case that can't get anything done.
It is a basket case, and it hasn't gotten anything done. It's not perception, it's reality.
So just this week, the health department became the second city department allowed to circumvent the lengthy contracting process so that it can purchase beds for those with mental health and substance use disorders. Because the city had to do all those checks and balances, San Francisco was losing out to other cities and counties when it came to purchasing beds.
And that's the reality of economics, folks. The most efficient gets what they need. Competition is healthy. Competition makes you leaner and meaner. So all those other cities out there with a more streamlined procurement process, they're the ones getting what they need first. And San Francisco, as well-meaning as they want to be, is making it harder for themselves to actually live their own values. It's completely backwards, asinine, and buffoonish.
Now, Mayor Breed had to introduce that legislation, and the Board of Supervisors had to approve it on Tuesday. Can we say the word cumbersome?
Yeah.
Long.
How many more obstacles in the obstacle course?
Yeah, and it hurts us.
And you just wonder, was there any benefit to it,
Yeah.
right? Looking at what was lost and is still lost, right?
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the liberal mindset of San Francisco, waking up to the fact that all the things that they wanted to accomplish was already there for them if they would have just acted efficiently and done so with a streamlined process that was meant to provide for their own people. Look at these people waking up to ideas and concepts from the 18th century. It's amazing, isn't it? Wokeism is in some ways a mental disorder because it places all these blocks on you and these blinders where doing things a certain way that have always been successful is no longer acceptable. You have to do things with so many different intersectionalities in mind in order to achieve a larger goal of equity, diversity, inclusion, things like that, that ultimately end up hurting more people because while you're worried about all these other things, you're losing sight of the main goal. Hopefully this will lead to a full reset. It's going very slowly. As you've heard, only 2 departments are able to do this right now. But clearly, San Francisco is waking up from a woke nightmare. And they have to slowly rebuild not only the trust of their own people, but their own processes to get back to being efficient in delivering what government should be delivering to their people. The basic needs of the communities, like trash pickup apparently, like beds, like services that act nimbly in order to meet the needs of the communities. Hopefully it gets done faster rather than slower, but with San Francisco, you never know, right?
What a colossal blunder.
But listen, hey, that's just my opinion. I want to know what you guys think about all this. Is San Francisco waking up from their woke nightmare? Or is this just a temporary lapse? They're going to see things improve a little bit and go right back to not living their values, but imposing their values on others. Let's talk about it in the comments. And please, as always, like and share the video with friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Let's get in those comments discussing this video, as well as all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.